as an awareness event. It was media-driven, and it was successful in creating awareness, so on that regard, mission accomplished. Now, transition is the mission. Simply put, surviving the worst of times begins with surviving the best of times. So in this program, we want to introduce the core concept of transition planning. It is a 4-stage survival resource rating system. Stage 1 is cataclysm awareness. This is when the mainstream media begins to seriously report the news to the public at large, and panic buying ensues. If you're not prepared by this time, be ready for long lines and short supplies at the store. Stage 2 is cataclysm events. Simply put, the first to fall will most likely be the last to know. But planning and luck will also play equal roles. While planning and preparation is not a guarantee that you and your loved ones will survive these events, it will, however, dramatically increase your odds of survival. And with repeated events, expect all or part of your survival stores or caches to be exhausted, lost, or stolen. Stage 3 is post-event. Those who survive the cataclysm event will search for survivors and pull together into small, self-organized groups. While most preppers set aside enough for themselves and their loved ones, as a member of a larger survival group, you'll also share with them as well. This is when the bulk of your physical supplies will be used up. Stage 4 is the backside. This will be the time years into the future when those who survive all the worst that man and nature can throw at them live to see blue skies once again. By this time, all medical supplies will have long been exhausted, and what you'll have is knowledge. Of paramount importance will be the kind of knowledge that helps you with survival wellness and developing sustainable ways of growing food and medicinal herbs. This brings us to the simple metric of our transition planning system. It's a rating system. You rate your resources, physical and knowledge, in terms of how far they'll get you through the process. Here are a few examples. The Internet is a fabulous Stage 1 resource, but it likely will not go much further than that. A fire extinguisher is a handy Stage 2 resource. Have one on hand. And off-road bicycles will be an ideal Stage 3 resource for getting around when there's not much left in the way of roads. And long after the Internet, fire extinguishers and off-road bicycles have rusted away, knowledge will continue to endure, especially survival knowledge like dungeon breathing. Dungeon breathing was created by Korean ruling elites back in the early days of acupuncture. These people were not worried about dying from hunger or thirst. Rather, they lived in fear of catching a cold, hence the old expression, "Don't catch your death of cold." And to explain how it works is Dungeon Breathing for Wellness co-developer, Master Roar Shepherd.
You want to have a tool that's been used for thousands of years to deal with these kind of situations. Dungeon breathing is easy to learn, quickly oxidizes the body, lets go of carbon dioxide waste, and lowers the calorie demand of the body. More oxidation in the body, less influence from communicable diseases. Now that's important.
The complete Dungeon Breathing for Wellness system from feelbetteronyourown.com includes a full-color symptoms handbook and 6 exercise and reference DVDs. This course was developed by preppers, for preppers, and the symptoms handbook is the core of the system. It offers quick access to poses for a wide range of symptoms and complaints, and it's designed to help volunteer trainers pass along these simple techniques to others. Each pose is cross-referenced by skill level, symptom, and personal goals. Organized into 3 levels, low impact, universal, and high impact, The 57 core poses offered in the Feel Better on Your Own system represent those used by Korean elites for centuries. They are simple, practical, and highly effective. To learn more, visit feelbetteronyourown.com today and view our free instruction videos. Imagine that you knew about the stock market crash of 1929 well in advance of the common man. Obviously, you could use such advanced knowledge to reap windfall profits from the misery. That is, assuming you were to keep the knowledge a secret. So, to what lengths would you go to keep future victims in the dark so that you could achieve the full measure of your own self-interested goals? Likewise, would you expect elites to rise above their own compulsions for power and wealth for moral or ethical purposes to inform the public at large, even if you are not so inclined? The point here is that for the elites, the topic of Planet X has always been about the leverage of deception, because of something I call Titanic rules. First class gets the boats, and steerage goes down with the ship. We're steerage, and the best we can do is to muster an occasional glimpse through a foggy porthole before the elites close it. Yes, it's unfair, but it has always been that way, and each day you spend agonizing over this is one less day you're focused on what really matters: your survival and that of those for whom you love and care. Keep this in mind as we present excerpts from observation reports. On April 24, 2006, Yowza.com broke the story on the South Pole Telescope, SPT, in Antarctica. The stated mission for the SPT really doesn't make a lot of sense because the same science could be done somewhere else at a fraction of the cost. So why build an expensive and sophisticated infrared telescope in such an inhospitable and inaccessible location as the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station in Antarctica? The answer is simple. This infrared 10-meter dish is the perfect instrument for observing an object rising up through the southern skies in infrared. And once they turned it on in January 2007, that's exactly what happened. A year after the SPT went online, the first of 3 highly credible disclosure videos were published on YouTube. The first, posted by Nibiru Shock 2012, was titled Nibiru Planet X Photos Taken January 2008. It was the first time the public had an opportunity to see an image of Planet X in deep space. And here you see a capture from the video, and the same capture again, but enhanced. In it, we see not just one object, but several. This is when we first learned that Planet X is actually a mini constellation of planets and moons, orbiting a small brown dwarf star, that is the binary twin to our own Sun. Those of you who were in high school and college during the 1970s may remember this second sun as Nemesis, the designation used by professional astronomers of the day to discuss the possibility that we live in a binary star system. Also, just as Sitchin and Harrington predicted, it would be rising up from the southern skies. But we wondered, could lightning strike twice with another disclosure video? On March 3, 2008, Nibiru Shock posted his second video titled Nibiru Planet X Update February 1, 2008. Well, what do you know, lightning did strike twice. And in that video we're told that Nibiru is now inside the Kuiper Belt, well beyond the orbit of Pluto. In this video, he tells us it is entering our system at an extremely shallow angle. This is consistent with our most current findings. In this second video, Nibiru Shock 2012 gave us a brilliant series of images that clearly show Planet X is a rather substantial mini-constellation of planets and moons, orbiting a brown dwarf star that is in turn orbiting our own sun. Consequently, it does not look or move like anything humans have seen in over 3,600 years. He also told us that governments are afraid of a panic. Perhaps. But then again, remember Titanic rules. First class gets the boats, and steerage goes down with the ship. We're steerage. Why do we say this? Because after these two videos were posted, the Nibiru Shock 2012 channel was hijacked by disinformationalists, and the first two videos were labeled a hoax, and the channel was also corrupted. Having investigated the first two Nibiru Shock 2012 videos at length, we published our findings on April 6, 2008 in an article titled First Two Planet X SPT Leaked Image Videos by Nibiru Shock 2012, now seen as highly credible. The reason we drew this conclusion was that these were very impressive disclosures, but the manner in which the channel was attacked showed clear evidence of a well-organized and well-funded use of disinformation tradecraft. Following publication of our report, Yowza.com came under heavy attack. Our site was hacked, and a slander campaign was leveled against us with brutal vitriol. In the process of defending ourselves, we filed DMCA complaints with YouTube, and to their credit, Google removed over 13 different attack videos and terminated 4 disinformation channel accounts. Then on May 29, 2008, we published an update article titled Planet X Nibiru SPT Disclosures May 2008 Report. In it, we presented our analysis of a third SPT disclosure video by a different YouTuber going by the name of DNIR4808N. This YouTuber described how a personal friend working at the SPT had sent him an image of the Planet X system captured by the SPT on May 14, 2008. In the video, DNIR4808N named his friend, and the government had the YouTube channel removed along with this video within a few hours after it was posted. Thanks to an anonymous tip, we were able to download the video before the channel disappeared. The video was authentic, but the manner in which the channel was taken down was clear proof of further government suppression. And when you compare the images in the DNIR4808N video with the Nibiru Shock 2012 videos, it's obvious that both are of the same object or series of objects, which also happen to be in the southern skies. At that point, the question for our team was simple. How did these 3 SPT disclosure videos compare with Dr. Harrington's paper, The Location of Planet X, published in October 1988, and with the illustration he showed Zecharia Sitchin in a 1990 television interview? Luckily for us, the answer came a few months later. Corroboration for Harrington's calculations finally came in 2008 with the last polar flyby of the Sun by the ESA-NASA Ulysses probe. Although NASA says that the spacecraft failed before critical data could be gathered in its last orbit around the southern hemisphere of our Sun, it nonetheless yielded valuable data, and we published that on October 13, 2008, with an article titled The ESA-NASA Ulysses Probe and Planet X Nibiru. The probe data is clear. The Sun's southern hemisphere is noticeably more active than its northern hemisphere. Also of interest is where the peak solar winds originate and the direction in which they're pointed. Our team continued researching Harrington's paper and the many disclosure videos we'd seen. Finally, on September 7, 2010, we published our findings in an article with a video titled The Only 3 Authentic SPT Disclosure Videos of 2008. Simply put, the 3 videos we discussed in this program by Nibiru Shock 2012 and DNI R4808N are the real deal. What wasn't a real deal as predictions go was Comet Elenin, and we first raised that question in an article we published on May 15, 2011, titled, Is Comet Elenin a Decoy? After a lot of speculation, the result here is that sometimes a comet is just a comet. However, Comet Elenin was a ripe opportunity for organized distraction. Consequently, it was portrayed as Planet X, the nemesis dark star astronomers debated in the 70s, the Star of Bethlehem to herald the Second Coming, and an alien mothership under intelligent control. As it turns out, the only thing under intelligent control was the disinformation. So the next time you see a stampede in progress, you might want to keep this in mind. On July 30, 2012, a YouTube channel of anonymous amateur astronomers, the 00 Skyview, posted a video titled, What Begins in Aquarius Ends in Aquarius. One of the first things we noticed was that this group of folks were showing us their instrumentation. Now that was something new. Then they showed us where they found their object of interest, 4 degrees below the ecliptic. Plus, like the SPT disclosure videos, this group is showing us images of a mini-constellation with a large object in the center and a cluster of satellites in orbit around it. But what really got our attention was that they were observing a red iron dust cloud, the hallmark signature of a brown dwarf star. Then on November 1, 2012, the 00 Skyview team upped the ante with a video titled Lifting the Veil. Right out the gate, they predicted a greatest eastern elongation flyby approaching from the southern skies. Not a good thing. In astronomy, a greatest eastern elongation describes an object that passes us on our side of the sun to the left of us and inside our own orbit. In this case, this object is also rising up from our southern skies. And it's interesting to compare the ESA-NASA Ulysses probe data with the 00 Skyview flyby prediction. They then presented an orbit for their object of interest, which also happens to resemble the orbit Dr. Robert S. Harrington showed in August 30th, 1990, during a television interview with Zachariah Sitchin. Next, the 00 Skyview team presented a series of color-shifted variations and a wide field view. However, their last image is of a mini-constellation in Aquarius, and it is similar to the mini-constellation in the January 2008 disclosure video by Nibiru Shock 2012 titled Nibiru Planet X Photos taken January 2008. So were they seeing the same thing? Well, we must wait and watch, because this mini-constellation moves through the sky like nothing we've ever seen before. However, what we can say is that when it does appear for all to see, it will appear suddenly. And given the observations for 2013 you're about to see, the need to plan and prepare for whatever may come is more important than ever before. But first, we want to acknowledge you ladies out there who've taken an interest in Planet X. When we published our first article in January 2002 on Planet X, women represented a 12% audience share. But in 2013, your ranks have grown to nearly 3 times that. And we want to thank you intrepid ladies out there because, well, the topic of Planet X is no longer a boys' club. With this in mind, I want to share helpful survival knowledge about dealing with a very ancient curse. Both today and long after your medical kit is empty. Every self-healing energy art is about drawing energy as an awareness event. It was media-driven, and it was successful in creating awareness, so on that regard, mission accomplished. Now, transition is the mission. Simply put, surviving the worst of times begins with surviving the best of times. So in this program, we want to introduce the core concept of transition survival group. You'll also share with them as well. This is when the bulk of your physical supplies will be used up. Stage 4 is the backside. This will be the time years into the future when those who survive all the worst that man and nature can throw at them live to see blue skies once again. By this time, all medical supplies will have long been exhausted. And with repeated events, expect all or part of your survival stores or caches to be exhausted, lost, or stolen. Stage 3 is post-event. Those who survive the cataclysm event will search for survivors and pull together into small, self-organized groups. While most preppers set aside enough for themselves and their loved ones, as a member of a larger Stage 2 is cataclysm events. Simply put, the first to fall will most likely be the last to know. But planning and luck will also play equal roles. While planning and preparation is not a guarantee that you and your loved ones will survive these events, it will, however, dramatically increase your odds of survival. And planning. It is a 4-stage survival resource rating system. Stage 1 is cataclysm awareness. This is when the mainstream media begins to seriously report the news to the public at large, and panic buying ensues. If you're not prepared by this time, be ready for long lines and short supplies at the store.